Welcome back to the M3 podcast. This week we're on the bus.
Back on the bus.
Back on the bus.
The second time?
Me, yes.
Nice. Second time only?
Yeah.
Wow.
The bus was definitely used for something else. That was not the M3 podcast. But we got Ricky on. We got Philip on. We got Corbin on. Philip is actually a second debut on the podcast.
How about it? Throw it back to episode 68 for the last time you can find Philip on the podcast.
Yeah. And at that point, we weren't sitting at the same table.
No.
Now we are.
It's true.
Corbin's never been on a podcast. He's going to be real talkative today. He's no nerves whatsoever. He said.
Is this your first podcast ever?
Yeah, for sure.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. It's really cool being on here on the bus.
Yeah. I think we've pushed, I'd say out of everyone on the sales side, I think Corbin has been most like kind of in a discomfort state.
Yeah.
That actually, to be fair, like day one, because I don't think I interviewed or anything with you. Day one, I came in, I was talking to Corbin, I'm like, why did we hire this guy? I was like,
oh shit.
Like, not in a bad way, but he was quiet. Like, he was quiet. And I'm like,
oh, he wasn't energetic.
Yeah, it was just
Okay.
like, but then I've seen him hustle just day in and day out and do what needs to be done. I was like, okay, I see it. Like,
He's opening up a little bit.
It takes me a little bit of time to open up, just in general, but I'm okay with feeling like awkward a little bit.
which most people aren't.
Feel
No,
loud.
Like,
people aren't.
that's the thing I see with, business owners. I see it. Myself even. When I was in the car business, I wasn't the guy that was on camera. I get it all the time now. And when Ricky first started, I'm like, dude, how do you do this? Like, he would just like hit a video like first take. And I was like, oh, wow. I was like, he'd been filming parkour since he was like in 7th grade.
So it was really hard for me to start filming, just like it was for what I've seen from. I didn't see the beginning of your social media stage. I thought you were pretty charismatic the first time you were on the podcast, but I watched it with you and then seen it with you, Corbin. I went through the same thing. It was just like 16 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, easier to deal with back then, 7th grade. You don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
Versus
I mean,
when
I
you're
gave a shit.
30 first time on camera.
You just think it's really
He was
cool
trying to
be on
impress
camera.
Lauren back then.
I
He's
was,
like,
yeah.
maybe Lauren's into parkour.
I was like, maybe this will get her. Fun fact, though, we did sell DVDs of our RI Productions videos that we printed. She was one of our only customers. So she was a longtime major fan.
Yeah, but I think it's something that even with talking, whoever it may be, that the idea of doing that and getting into that uncomfortable state. In the beginning, I was like, the way I thought about it in my head, like people are gonna watch this and they're gonna think I suck at it, and they're gonna think I just wasn't used to being bad at things. Toward doing that where I wasn't good at it frustrated me, and it was something that I was worried about what other people were gonna think every single time. And now I'm at a state that I literally put stuff out there all the time. I'm like, I don't give a rat's ass what anyone thinks anymore.
Yeah.
Like, life is way too short to care about what other people think all day, every day.
Yeah.
And most of the time I'm like looking at it, I'm like, I used to watch the views of like, and I saw that they were climbing. I'm like, oh my God, like these people I went to high school with are watching this every day. I'm like, these people I went to college with are watching this every day. I'm like, these business owners I don't even know are watching this. Like, and that now it's, I run into people and we were talking about the other day at the other office. I'm like, does anybody even listen to these stories I put up in the morning? And then the amount of people that come up and say stuff about that. We had a meeting last week, guys, like, do I listen to the podcast every single week?
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, wow. Like, but just that consistency of doing it. And, excuse me, you're going to get better at it. And people have flaws. That's a guarantee. All people. You look at people that announce on TV and they mess up.
Yeah.
I watch the news now and I'm like, half the time I'm like, how the fuck do these people get jobs?
Dude, and they're reading off a teleprompter.
Yeah.
They don't even have to make anything up. They just got to read.
Yeah. I've like watched stuff on
Sometimes I
TV and I'm
struggle
like, where are they finding these people? I'm like, they're awful on camera. And it's like, but it's, they're trying, they're learning, they're going to get better. But it's the same thing. We all start somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to step into that uncomfortable state to start.
Most people don't want to do that, though.
Yeah.
That's what I like. I like learning things. So I'm like so okay with like being awkward, like, because I know I'm going to get better at it. I'm also like a really fast learner. So I just like, I'm going to get better at it. I know I just have to give myself the time to do it,
Yeah. My thing was, I'll tell you what, most people in the sales world think this thing here is like, if you put it up to your ear, it's going to like stab you inside of your ear. Like, it is wild how scared people are of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through it in the car world. I understand making cold calls. I understand doing that part of it. And I've gotten really comfortable on the phone. I've been comfortable on the phone for years, but it's like, I'd way rather call someone than text them for 3 hours. Like, somebody texts me something long, I just call them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is ironic because so you were in Florida over this last week, and Angela was trying to edit a document for you, and she was like, "Oh, I just want to call him because it'd be so much easier to figure out what he's trying to say, but he's on vacation, so I'm just gonna text him." But you're exactly right. You just pick up the phone and call somebody.
Oh, you can handle something that fast, and you can understand the tone that someone has, because there's been times I've texted somebody, I'm like, are they pissed off?
Yeah.
And I call them and I'm like, is this, are you upset about this? I'm like, no, why would you think that?
Or I thought you were.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
I
Like,
thought you were upset.
but it's like, you don't get to read those things over text message or email.
Yeah.
So it's like 99.9% of the time I would always prefer in-face meeting, or, worst case is Zoom or something, but like, just learning about the phone and doing that, it was something right out the gate. You had no problem picking up the phone. He's in there doing it. I was like, he'll be fine. Like, if you were in there just like camped out doing nothing, I'd be like, this dude's not going to make it. But Dre's texting me. That is the only problem when I do podcasts during the day, is there's just so many like other things happening.
It's not as easy. So like normally we podcast on Wednesday nights. So we leave the office. It's been a busy day, but then you have like a 30, 45-minute drive. And we get to Dane's house because we have the podcast in the garage. So then Madison's making dinner. So then we're all sitting down eating together. And it's like a little bit more of a process where you kind of get focused and dial down from the rest of the day. So when
Corbin's like, why isn't my experience like that?
Little wind down.
hungry?
Yeah, I could use
Hey,
a
I
little
didn't get
bit.
dinner either though. So
You didn't?
No,
Oh, wow.
no. We had drinks. That was
We didn't even
okay.
cater or anything?
Nothing.
Well,
I
It
wonder
was
what the
special.
situation was.
I don't know.
yeah, something had
They
to
just
be.
didn't care
Those
about
first, like, the
She
first...
wasn't home. I don't think Madison got home later that night. I don't think she was there in the beginning when we first started.
It's normally quite a process.
There were a couple times when we sprung it on last minute, though. Those first, like, 10, 15 episodes from the garage, where it was like, oh, hey, we're going to podcast there tonight. So it could have been one of those cases, too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Today I was talking to somebody about coming on the podcast, and like, well, like, what about like next week? I was like, well, now we're actually booked out like 4 or 5 weeks at a time. Way different.
I don't know if you know this. If you want to be on the M3 podcast, you can now actually submit a form to apply.
I know we do have that now on our new website, because most time it's people, I end up in a meeting talking with someone and they're like, yeah, like, do you guys ever have like different people on the podcast? Like, can people reach out to you for it? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, I didn't know. I was like, you want to come on? And they're like, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty open. Like, I feel like a lot of people have cool stories. A lot of people have different things to say. So it's, guy I was talking with today, he's like, well, is there like a set requirement to come on? I was like, no. I was like, I want, as this scales and it gets bigger and MMG gets bigger, that these small business owners still have a spot to have a voice. They can still get intertwined with something that can help them network to a higher level. Mm-hmm. And I think most people always think of it as, if you run a podcast, it's just for yourself. I like to see what it's done for other business owners that have came on.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the cool part about it. And same thing with you guys being on here, that the stuff that gets to come from that it takes 1 or 2 people that are in your network that see this and they say, hey, congrats on a new job, new position, what you're doing, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But we've always just tapped into different networks every week for about 150 something now.
This will
That's
be
a long time.
152 or something. We're coming right up on 3 years, because it would have been, was March 1st the first podcast episode? Because it was February that you said by the end of the month.
Yeah, I really put my foot in my mouth on that
You
deal.
did.
That was kind of my deal in February, or very end of January, beginning of February. Ricky and Lauren start. I learned audio like day one because I was using the wrong cord. So up to Ricky start, we had no audio at MMG.
Wow.
Funny
No
story.
audio.
Yeah. So almost 3 years
Like
to
they
the date.
use 3 years today.
3 years
Yeah.
today. we had was day one of MMG having audio. So there hadn't been a single video of like somebody talking, anything. I bought mics and everything, and they didn't work. It's because I had the wrong cord.
He had a 50-50 shot. Unfortunately, he did grab the wrong one. But yeah, Dane said that we were going to have a podcast by the end of the month, and then end of the month was rolling around. So he spent the weekend putting the studio together, and then the podcast launched. So that was...
They all rolled in on Monday. We had a full podcast studio built.
That's been every week on the week. Same with Taco Tuesdays. Right?
Yeah. So Taco Tuesdays were probably around
100.
Around 100. That was an October-ish start.
Yeah.
It's like 2 years into the tacos, 3 years into the podcast, but the biggest thing is just being consistent with it, because there's a lot of podcasts that'll start and maybe they'll do an episode or two and then it just kind of falls off.
All right, ka-chow, we're back. Technical difficulties over. Consistency, though. I think a lot of people talk about things they're going to do, and it could be something that you're going to do consistently with your partner in a relationship. It can be consistency of what you're going to do fitness-wise, on a diet, on what you do in business. And I see I think one of the characteristics of great business owners is understanding consistency.
Yeah.
And you see people have just done something consistently for so long, they finally get to reap the reward of it.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that just hop from thing to thing to thing to thing. And we'll have business owners come in and they tried 6 different marketing companies last year. I was like, well, I don't feel like I want to be number 7 because you're not going to give it long enough to even pan out. And it's just people are scared of doing something for a long term, not knowing what the result is. They're like, I had no earthly idea what the result of the podcast was going to be. But I mean, 30, 40 episodes in, I mean, it was pretty dog shit still. Like, I think it was like episode 22, we ended up yielding a couple accounts off of it. So I was like, okay, maybe it's kind of working. And then I was like, then I reformulated in my head what I actually wanted the outcome of this to be. Mm-hmm. And it was to, 1, help business owners, and 2, one day I'll be gone and Ricky will be gone and everyone from MMG. We're going to have kids and grandkids and everything. There's going to be documentation of all of this.
Yeah. That's
cool.
a cool thing to see.
Yeah.
That'll be really cool.
That when we're 15 years down the road, we're still doing this every single week. Mm-hmm. I think about that as like so many people have had their parents pass away or grandparents, and what do you have, a book and some photos?
You're gonna have a whole video log.
Yeah, you have a couple photos and some distant
whole
memories,
cloud.
but
yeah,
to really be able to get in there and hear how did Dane think when he was
all
30
of us
years
though.
old?
Like I even look back at some of them, just like when we were podcasting as the MMG group.
Oh, totally.
In the basement, though, like I'm like, how the fuck did we sell accounts? How did we get work at that point? I'm like looking back at it, I'm like, holy shit. And I look at where the progressions came and how much different we think as just people.
Oh yeah.
How much the maturity level has risen and just so many of these different things.
Yeah.
And we're gonna look back here in another 2 years and be like, how the fuck were we selling that? That our products just gonna keep becoming better, our services becoming better, operations are becoming better, just all of it is elevating so quickly. But I think it's because everyone has the right mindset. And I feel that we've had people on our walls that don't fit in. Mm-hmm. And when somebody comes in that doesn't have the right mindset and they don't follow our core values, they stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
As they should. I've had people like, well, I just feel like I don't fit in here. I was like, you're lazy. You don't show up on time. You leave early. You do everything wrong. So yeah, the team doesn't really fucking like you. Like,
yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah, I'm like, when you're on a team and you're gonna step up with these people to go fight with, and that person next to you isn't holding their weight, I don't fucking like that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've had those people come through here, and it's like, yeah, during those times, I have to find a solution to the problem. So it's not always as easy as what people think. We still have workload that has to get done. Sometimes you have to bite that bullet for a little bit to figure out the next step. But I think with the consistency, I think with all those right characteristic traits, that's what leads people to success. And like we were talking about yesterday on logging your calls, logging what you do every day, and you become consistent at doing that every single day. You do that every single day, I can guarantee you success. Like that is I've done it in a different industry line. I understand what it takes, but most people aren't willing to be consistent with it. And they try it for a little bit, and once they have a bad day, they compound bad days, and I'm guilty of it on the fitness world really bad. When I'm on, I'm on.
Yeah.
But when I fall off, I fall off. That's probably my biggest consistency struggle in my life.
Yeah. And that's the thing though, is like it's a lot of guys will come in and whether it's sales or fitness and they want to have like a heroic effort and I'm gonna crush it today, and then they do a whole bunch. Or they do 10 sets of 10 on leg press or some shit. And then it's like,
Ricky's just telling my story over here.
it's like, well, you don't get all the results in just one day. You have to have the compounded daily efforts because then it has the time component in, and that's where you build something worth building. It doesn't happen overnight, but
I mean, I'm not disagreeing, but there's sometimes that heroic side comes out. My head has a lot more power than my body does.
Yeah.
So I go to the gym. I'm like, I'm going to run 5 miles. I'm going to lift, and then I'm going to do 30 minutes on a Stairmaster. I'm going to sit in the sauna. And I'm in the sauna. I'm like, fat still. I'm like, I'm not in shape to do that.
and you've been at the gym for 2.5 hours.
Yeah. Go home. My feet feel like they're going to come off my body and everything. I'm like, David Goggins would have said I was being a puss. Like, yeah. He did it at 300 pounds.
He did also break a bunch of shit in his feet, I think.
Yeah.
Did he really?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wow.
That's what
an animal.
I ran a half
He is.
marathon and right off the couch at 275 pounds.
You're in a half a marathon?
Corbin's a runner.
How'd you feel the next day?
Down a little bit.
I couldn't move. Like I got home and my body shut down.
Just exhausted.
Have you done a half?
No, I don't run like that far.
Oh.
No. I keep
Just
it
so you
to,
know,
like,
I don't either.
I keep it to like a mile.
Yeah.
I was listening to a
2
Goggins
miles.
book while I was out there. Because I'll tell you what, that ends up being a weird internal fight with yourself.
Yeah, it does.
Because 3 miles in, I was feeling pretty good. My life, I hadn't ran over 5 miles.
Oh, shit, dude.
So I'm out there and I clear 5, and about 7, I'm sitting there. I'm like, what am I doing out here? I'm like, I have a great life. It's like I got the house, I got the wife, I got the cars. I'm like, I got the family. Like, life's good.
What am I doing?
What am I doing? And
What do I have to prove?
yeah, that's literally what was running through my head. I was like, I don't got shit to prove out here.
You haven't hit that runner's high yet.
I don't know if you
When does
got
that
it.
kick in? Mile 10?
Oh no, I would have
7
figured
miles.
before
Yeah.
that.
7, I was like, I don't know what this runner high is that people talk about because I've never experienced it. But once I got to mile probably 8 to 9, it started setting in, and it was a dark place there that I had my hood up, and then everyone of course came out because no one thought I could finish it. So half of MMG's all there, and I'm like, none of them know me as a quitter, and they know everything I do. I finish. So I'm sitting out there with my hood up and everything, and I'm just my calves feel like they're about to rip off. I had way too much faith in KT tape. Also, I was covered in KT tape.
You had a lot of KT tape.
I really thought that was going to fix all my problems.
It looks like he just got his first affiliate code for a brand sponsorship. It was KT tape.
But yeah, it was a weird space. But once I finished it, I was like, I don't know. I also think you take on those fights with yourself. Same thing if you're in sales, if you're in marketing, if whatever it is that you're doing out there, taking those fights on against yourself. The other side of that, there's so much to be found. Because most people will say no to themselves so quickly. They're going to sit and they're going to look at, it can be male or female in the mirror, whatever, but it's like you look at that man in the mirror, it's the only person you answer to. And that person, most people will say no to quicker than anyone else.
Yeah,
I
you
feel
have
like
to,
that ties back to consistency too.
It is.
and
100%.
disciplining yourself and just
Yeah.
staying on task.
And I think that a lot of times you look at the sales world, you look at people don't correlate it down to those basics of, they think they have to have some crazy found sales knowledge that they learned somewhere. And it's like, I think most people think there's some secret out there. Yeah, you have to be good with people, but it's also, if you're really passionate about a product and you believe in a product and you care about taking care of people, you can be good at sales.
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure out sales, but it's just care about people, understand people's psychology, understand what makes people tick, how you can help them. Because if you can figure out how to help someone in a conversation, you can sell them all the time.
Yeah.
And they're not going to feel like they were sold either. But then it's also doing the consistent things every single day to get better, to keep moving that needle forward, to make sure that you're in contact with enough people. Because there's some people you'll never be able to open their mind to it. there's some people that you truly have to put the problem in front of them on a silver platter for them to recognize they even have the problem. And it's just, you say to, like, we talk about the consistency level, we talk about these things, like we're talking to a business owner that hasn't been consistent on anything. So when we're talking to that, it's almost a foreign, we talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the people talk about the culture of MMG all the time. They're like, how have you done that? And I'm like, we all talk about the same shit.
What did you guys think about the culture of MMG, seeing it online? I know, obviously, Philip, you were following for a few years.
Yeah.
Were you following us online before you had reached out much? Or?
Not really. I mean, I knew who Dane was, so that's kind of how I reached it, or why I reached out and stuff. So I wouldn't really followed it. So like as soon as I like walked in those doors for my interview, I really like already like could feel like the culture and like environment here was good, and I liked it.
You didn't even really know what to expect walking in.
No, I mean I like looked, I really didn't even look that much into like your Instagrams or Facebooks at all.
Did you know that we had a short bus in the office?
No.
That was new.
What was your hot take on the short bus?
Well, this is kind of my hot take on the short bus, just getting in here for the first time. So I've never been on a short bus, believe it or not.
No.
Just let the record show.
Yeah. No, this
You
was
want to
probably
make
the
that
best
very
one.
clear. This is
Orion's
not,
bus was full size.
Yeah, my bus was full size.
only rode on full size buses my whole life.
I've never even seen one, honestly. No, I'm kidding. But it's cool.
We think so too.
Yeah, hot take.
So what'd you think about
It's
that?
cool.
That's why I wanted to join.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've been following you guys for 2.5 years. Went to high school with you, so everything grows. You guys were expanding, open up the sales division. That's what I've been doing for the last decade. It seems like almost a decade, 9 years. So here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, and I know culture is just a buzzword that's out there right now, and
Yeah.
everyone talks about culture. There's culture coaches now, everything else. And it's also, I think it's hard sometimes because I've talked to my dad about it, and at one point we had a ping pong table set up, so everyone thought the culture of our company was because we had a ping pong table in the middle of the office.
You mean that's not what makes culture in a workplace?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I'm not an expert on it, so I don't even want to say like I'm not coming off as that like culture coach of like, hey, this is like, because there's cultures that are different.
Absolutely.
And that's why I think everyone tries to form it into they all have to be the same. That you can go to Anheuser-Busch and they probably have a certain culture of how they run and operate there, and it's probably pretty cool. I like going out on their tours there. Mm-hmm. You go to Barstool, they're going to have a completely different culture. Like vastly different business models. You probably go to Coca-Cola, they probably have a cool culture there. Like you can go to VaynerMedia and they can have a cool culture. Like all the businesses are different. So to say one business has the same culture as another is wild.
I wouldn't even say like the same, but having a culture in general is what I think separates those companies from the ones that don't. Because the ones that don't, they have high turnover typically. Their products typically suck. When you create that culture environment, you elevate your brand. And that's one thing I saw, with MMG is that brand elevation just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And as that goes on, the culture gets bigger. So
and I think to that a lot too I think the culture plays into the buy-in of the people that are there.
Yeah.
You have to get buy-in of people, and it's I think so many people try to press buy-in, and I think it's something that you can just like tell someone to buy in, but that's not always the case. So like there's been people who have came to the walls that I have not been able to get them to buy in.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's other people that are fully bought in.
Yeah.
But it's maybe I wasn't good at explaining the vision to them. So I'll take that as my fault. It is what it is. I'm not going to say I've been perfect every time hiring people. I haven't been perfect at reading people. I haven't been the best leader at times, but I have to get better as I progress.
Yeah.
And there will never be a point where I ever find perfection. So it's what does selling that vision look like to everyone? And when I say selling a vision, you are selling a vision because the vision is not here yet.
Right.
And that's when I've talked to people that are like, well, you talk about this vision, but that's where you want to go.
But at the same time, look at the vision you've already created. Each step that the company has grown, yes, your ultimate vision isn't here yet, but look at the fucking vision we have now. I mean, that you've built now with the 2 locations. This office, the Crossroads we just opened up for the sales division. I mean, it's incredible.
And that's where people have to see on the vision though that there's steps to get there. Like the MMG Fantasy Factory is clear as day to me. Like I picture when I drive in the morning that I'm driving to that spot.
I would be surprised if you don't even have renderings yet.
I've thought about actually
If you do a rendering, it's gonna happen fast.
I've actually thought about having like renderings made, sitting down with a contractor, starting to figure out figuring out like really to paper where we need to be at to make it a reality.
Yep.
Because the thing is, like, in my head, and it's like what I've always struggled with is people don't view the world the way I view it. And I understand that now. And the higher level you get in thinking is understanding how other people think.
Yeah.
That there's a lot of people that will live in their head only forever. And once you progress, you start figuring out how other people think and understanding how they comprehend something. So I look at it as like that vision's so clear in my head. I never need it repainted. There's a point at Ricky a couple years ago, he's like, dude, I need help seeing this more often. I was like, understandable. Like, I'd rather get that feedback and somebody be honest with me about it.
Yeah.
Instead of just going down a pathway that neither one of us want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think part of the way that you build buy-in in a company, and I was just talking about this with Jeff on a podcast earlier this week, that Jeff Wasserman of Supplement Superstore, so he worked right under Andy Frisella. And he was saying the same thing, like even before they got to there, Andy had that vision painted for them.
Yeah.
And that evolves as you go, because then as the people that are coming onto the team, their vision has to fit inside the overall vision.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what drives everything forward. But you have to reinsure everybody that's on the team that their vision fits inside that vision, and just it reignites that flame to show where you're headed.
And I think that when you're painting that vision and you're hitting the benchmarks to get there, and they see that the ship is moving to get to that spot, and that vision's becoming a reality, it's easier for people to buy in.
Then you can start to forecast, this is what the last 2.5 years of growth looked like, even if we stay at the same speed, which isn't going to happen.
Yeah. What's
the next 2.5 years look like? But then reality is things pick up speed. We're going to get more momentum.
And that's where watching that, I talk to some people that they've built nothing. And I'm like, you have to get some core people that are going to help paint that vision, that are going to help elevate the whole ship forward. And that was what the basement crew was to me. That I'm sitting there talking to Ricky. I remember talking to Ricky, or halfway talking to Ricky, on Halloween in 2021?
We were just talking about
that. 21.
In 21. And I've been drinking, and I mean, we sat on the back deck till like probably 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, talking about something, sitting down, and most people at that point probably would have thought most people thought I sounded crazy when I told them about where we wanted to go.
Yeah.
Where my vision was. And then it's like, I mean, within a week we were sitting at sushi with Lauren too, and then it's like they're starting in the basement. And probably most people looking at Ricky and Lauren at that point thought that was an idiotic move.
Yeah.
You're going to go work in a guy's basement?
Yeah. And it's like, I felt at that spot like those two, Dalton, Logan, Dre, like everyone stepped away from real jobs.
Yeah.
To like rock it out in the basement. But the vision was there for all of us. And that's all we talked about at that point. I think we were probably damn near closer to the Fantasy Factory at that point than we are now. Like at that point, we were ready to get shovels and go build the motherfucker ourselves. Like
we just need the land. We'll start digging.
Yeah. But it was just, that's all we all discussed all the time. Like we didn't have that much work. And then it was once we moved out of the house, and then it just like the snowball effect happens. But it's all those things we're consistent about all the time that keep compounding, keep getting bigger. The posting every week keeps going up. It keeps elevating. I remember when there was a point we would post and we'd get like 100 views. I'm like, yeah, that was a good one. Now we post, if it's not like 1,000 plus, a few thousand, I'm like, well, I really botched it. But it's just like our thinking elevates as we progress.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, since we've been sharing that online, we've put the proof out there, which no other marketing company has. Like we always say that we're the fastest growing marketing company in Kansas City, and it's because we are. Nobody's even close.
Yeah.
And
show me one company that's keeping up with us.
And now, like, everybody's seen that growth over the last couple years, and they see that we're not that we posted that we were in a basement, but like they saw the River Market office and they've seen everything that's happened since then. I mean, it was only 8 months ago that we moved into this office.
Yeah.
Listen, Facebook started in a college dorm room. So,
Yeah.
I mean, MMG in 5 years, Fantasy Factory, probably going to come before that. If I,
Yeah.
knowing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
know,
It's
coming
going to
a
be
long
before
way.
5 years. But it's like, that's the other thing that we talk about all the time is people, there's a difference because, I mean, I've had people sit there and they're, I'm going to be a billionaire in a year. I'm like, you can't make your fucking rent right now. I'm like, trust me, I don't know anybody that was like billionaire status in 12 months. Like, I mean, take the greats, take the huge people out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
it all takes time.
Yeah.
To where it's, I think that just shows you can talk about things and there's the actions that take place every day that I look at as like our actions line up with exactly where we're going.
Yeah.
And there's people that I see that run a completely different course. So they talk about wanting to be this person and they talk about wanting to make all this money. They talk about this spot and this vision. If those day-to-day actions don't line up with that and the way that you treat people and the way that you do things every day, that's not going to be a reality.
Yeah.
Take that person, paint that picture. Like I said, I drive to the gym in the morning and I picture myself in a Rolls Royce. I was like, yeah, cool. It's going to be here in like a year when I'm rolling up in a
The
Rolls.
stars.
Yeah. I was like, I can already vision driving that car. I already, like when I pull in every morning, I think about pulling into the Fantasy Factory and what that looks like. And I paint it over and over and over and over and over in my head.
Yeah.
That's like, I watch a lot of documentaries. I'm weird on that stuff, but it's like you watch documentaries on Walt Disney, like he saw it so clearly. Like everyone else thought he was a fucking loon half the time.
Mm-hmm.
But then once it all started working, all right, maybe he's on something. That you look at the early days when he files bankruptcy multiple times, he loses his first character that takes off. He draws Mickey Mouse on a train ride back, and it's you look at the things that he overcame, but that vision never wavered.
Mm-hmm.
Epcot is a small version of what they were intending to build, but Roy did that just because he wanted to make sure that vision became a reality of something that his brother came up with. But it's like you look at the way that they bought land. They didn't want everyone to know that Disney was coming to Florida, so they were buying land under all these different LLCs, and they bought, I think it's 25,000 acres, 50,000 acres, something. It's a big chunk of land down there. But they were buying it up and they deemed that land unbuildable. But like I go to Disney every year and I talk about this on podcasts all the time, and it's just like something that lives rent free in my head all the time. That you want to talk about going to get people to buy into something? Go to Disney and walk into Epcot is around the world. You walk in and you have Canada. You walk into, there's Canadians that work there that fill the place up that are so bought in on their character that they are here. Then you walk into the Japan area and it's people from Japan that are working. I'm like, they found people all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And got them to buy in and move here. So tell me it's not fucking possible. But it's that vision is everything. That vision is something that I think that dictates the culture that is with there.
Absolutely, and not just from like the business side of things, but also at an individual standpoint. Like if you don't have that big vision in your own life, then you don't have any reason to grow. But if you have a vision that pulls you forward and gives you a reason to work on skills and advance in your career, a lot of people don't have that vision, both in the company side and personally.
And I think there's a lot of visions that everyone's vision looks different, as it should. And it's like, I get asked, I literally post on my story today, I get asked all the time, the vehicles in the lobby. I was like, dude, when I was a kid, I remember my brother and I sitting there watching Rob Big and watching Fantasy Factory. I was like, I see him come whipping in his T-Rex. I'm like, dude, that's legit. I was
Can we
like,
get some T-Rexes? Do they still make those?
they actually, one popped up on my marketplace.
For real?
I was like, oh.
Dude, get a black and gold T-Rex.
But it was just like something like that vision was started, that the painting of that started way, way long ago.
Yeah.
And I saw something that they worked and they had fun.
Mm-hmm.
That was something I always just like, I was always like, I don't think work's supposed to be boring. I don't think work's supposed to be a hassle. And I look at where MMG's at now. We get a lot of work done, but there's also going to be a whole nother level of it in the future where the fantasy factory will be something that no one wants to leave.
Yeah.
That it'll have a gym in there. I want to have a food court in there. I want to have all these different things to where people are like, I don't ever have to leave work. I love being here.
Yeah.
I love the people I'm around. Like, that's something that builds culture. And but that vision to make that a reality, because even at that point, there still has to be a next level.
Mm-hmm.
So then what's after that? And that's something I'm writing in a notebook right now, writing the story up till now, to then document the story of where we go to where I can figure out how to elevate past there. Because I think that's something that First Form and S2 and those guys, like, they've hit the pinnacle. They're there. Like, what's next? Like, it's hard because you hit a spot that's so big that where do you get the buy-in for the next step?
Yeah.
Because right now we have A players coming from all different directions because they see this train that's just hauling ass right now. Like, I'm getting on it fucking now.
Yeah.
One day we're gonna have the fantasy factory and we have an A player come in and we're like, what are we paying to that person?
The Miami Fantasy Factory.
On the beach.
Somewhere where it's not cold.
We have a jet ski driving on the beach.
Yeah, what about when you pull your yacht up into the office? Rob Dyrdek didn't have that.
That'd be sick.
There you go.
Now we're on to something.
Helicopter pad. I mean, there's all kinds of
It's better
ways
than
to
the
level
weather
it
we
up.
put up with here.
Yeah. I do. The Knicks locations, I want one in Florida and one in Arizona.
Arizona would be cool.
Yeah.
What part of Arizona?
Scottsdale.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Scottsdale's fun.
I'm down for that.
I think it'd be a great networking area.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of money, a lot of businesses there
A lot of money.
need marketing. I like to golf. I like to hike. Seems like a good area.
Yeah. Can't say I'm into hiking, but
Well, not around here.
I don't know, man.
We have some good
You don't like
hiking.
hiking?
Why?
You don't like to walk?
Coming from you, you couldn't even run 5 miles. I'm surprised you like hiking.
Oh,
Whoa. Walking and running are way different, buddy.
Okay,
he's gonna ask you.
I feel targeted.
he is a geologist. So.
I mean, you're hiking up elevation. Like, that's some rough shit.
Yeah,
that's
Dalton
true.
and I-
That's true.
Dalton and I went to Spain for 6 weeks and hiked in the Pyrenees Mountains. We were putting up 10 plus miles every day.
He's a hiking machine.
Machine.
Give him
All right.
a rock to find and he'll hike.
Have you been hiking?
No, I have no
Well,
interest in hiking. I mean, that just sounds awful. It's like going to run 10 miles. Why in the hell would I want to climb the elevation, be out of breath, and
for the view,
sounds
man?
exhausting.
I mean,
The view, yes.
hiking I don't feel like it's a good workout, but I don't feel like I'm not
think-
out of breath all
I
the
think
time.
it kind of is what you make it.
Yeah. I like being
if
outside.
You're getting after it, then
I mean, I'm not running up the mountain. But I mean, it's like I'm running at a decent clip, but walking at a decent clip. But
I can get behind golfing, but hiking, I don't
okay,
know.
I was actually thinking we
That's
need to do an MMG hiking trip.
I'm down.
Well, they'll have to
Where
leave
at?
Philip.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to participate. That's all right. I can't just be left behind.
We do need an MMG ski trip.
Yeah.
That would
That would be a good
That
time.
would be so much fun.
Do you ski?
No, I've never been. Me and Ricky were just talking about this yesterday.
I haven't been in a while.
I've skied once.
Corbin made a iMovie edit of his girlfriend's ski trip. He did the FOMO edit.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you got to experience it through her eyes.
So I skied and snowboarded like every winter, all growing up for like 2 weeks. So I got where I'd ski a week and then snowboard a week.
Which one are you better at?
Better skier.
Skier.
Yeah. Snowboarding though, I also wakeboarded, so they're pretty.
Is snowboarding harder than skiing?
Depends.
I've always heard that. That's why I've asked.
I would. It's a lot easier to pick up skiing if you haven't been
I tried
before.
wakeboarding once, and it took me like 15 tries just to get up out of the water.
I will say I also like when Dre and I learned, I was probably like, we learned to ski and snowboard probably like 8, and then started learning wakeboarding when we were like 10. So we picked up wakeboarding pretty quick because we could snowboard.
Yeah.
I was light at the time, so I did those things as I progressively got heavier. I think it'd be a lot harder coming off the couch now to like learn.
for the first time.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh,
That would probably be tough.
Yeah,
But-
first time skiing was just at Snow Creek, so I don't even know if I really count that. But
yeah, I probably wouldn't count that. Most times it's just ice. But sales wise, from your guys' forefront coming in, what would you say the thing is that we've lacked the most as a company? Because Sales Forefront's new. Building
Yeah.
opened up
It's
beginning of this month.
We're
So
a month in.
Yeah,
We're a month
it's new, so I wouldn't even really like. I think lacked is the wrong word because it's not like you had a sales division and there was processes already in place. I mean, this is brand new, even when we're coming on. So
We lacked all of it.
yeah, but I mean, there
My
was
thing
a
is,
lot
like-
of it that was set. I think it's just the transition from closing in on an account and getting them onboarded. That's the number one pain point that I see. Like, because we're month to month. There's no contract, so we don't have them sign anything. It's basically like a handshake and we're done. We have the content shoot set. There's really no or the onboarding session set. There's no pen to paper. You know how it typically is, where it like feels official. Just that process, I think, getting into onboarding is one of the things I see.
because my thing is, I feel like a lot of business owners hide behind faults. They hide behind the things that people don't want to talk about, and I feel like I'm very upfront, transparent on it to everybody. Like, I mean, if I'm better at fucking things up than probably anybody else, but it's like you have to mess those things up and figure it out to move forward.
Yeah.
And as a business owner, everyone wants to now grant like our Instagrams, our social platforms, it's all the highlights all the time. But I tell people those are highlight reels.
Yeah.
My thing is there's also the stuff that happens behind the scenes, the not so fun things. And bringing those things to the light, I think a lot of times business owners listening to this, I don't want them to think that it's just been all fucking rainbow and sunshine over here.
Right.
To where it's like, if somebody is opening up a second location, my big worry was energy carrying over.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the most nervous things I had about that happening. Was I feel like I've been the thermostat for the MMG office all the time.
Yeah.
And what does that thermostat look like at both locations without me being at one or the other all day? And I'm going to say I've been very impressed with HQ1 about holding up the standard of what we do with me being over at the new office. But from a fault standpoint, like what are the faults of the sales office right now? What do we need to work on?
I don't know anything off the top of my head really, but
Gordon's like, I'm new to this,
yeah,
so
but
I don't know what it's supposed to look like.
I feel like we were really put in like a good position to succeed like as soon as we like came in the door really. But like I was just ready to kind of get on the phones and give it a roll. So it seemed like a long like training process for me, or like learning process until I got there or got to get on the phones a little bit. But yeah, really other than that for me, I really like the energy over there too. I think we all keep it pretty upbeat and everybody's communicating and interacting with each other all day, every day. So like over in the sales building, I feel good.
Does Ricky pay you guys in the car on the way over here? Say good things?
Yeah.
Venmo.
You
Yeah.
know, might be a bonus.
Some-
attached to that.
I was like, hey, listen, guys. You're gonna have to say some good stuff over there.
Yeah, can't talk any shit.
No shit.
No, I mean, but for real though, it's all been good. But again, you just started the sales division, so learning that I think process together and building those procedures in place. You know, like coming onto the sales division, Angela's training us, Ricky's training us. We're going over phone training. If I had to say something that would be considered negative, there's no schedule. I'm very much like a schedule oriented person. There's no schedule to it. It's just kind of like we're gonna do this and then we're gonna do this later. There's no schedule to it. That'd be the only thing negative. But
And
other than
I
that,
think to that point is something that I struggle with on the sales forefront, that I became very scheduled on the marketing and the content side.
Yeah.
Is we have just so many wrenches thrown in it on that side that's like, hey, somebody's coming in at 1 today, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, they're coming in at 3 today.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
Well,
they're
we're
like,
still
oh,
gonna
shit,
be with
like-
them. So
Like,
right. For sure.
but it's just like the up in the air, which it is something that I think needs to be more fine tuned and be more set in stone of what it looks like. But that's the thing that we've worked at the last 6 months here on building out processes.
Yeah.
To where I don't feel like I have to be stuck inside here all day, every day.
Yeah.
To where it's like now opening up second office, I'm like, all right, we're opening up a whole nother can of fucking worms that we got to figure out. But it's also just keeping an open line of communication with the people that are internally doing it, which is something that I have failed at in the past, is not communicating that enough on why we're doing what we're doing. Like when we're talking about logging your calls and everything, logging your messages. In the moment, that seems tedious and it just seems like a waste of time. But why we do that is to where in 4 weeks, in 8 weeks, we can sit there and we can map out what the weekly average looks like based on X input to where we get you the output that you're looking for.
Yeah.
It becomes a big math equation.
That's what sales is.
Yeah. And realistically, it's been where we failed on, I'll say I failed on fast movement in the marketing and the content side was implementing changes to processes that weren't relayed why they were happening. Mm-hmm. So then it got a lot of backlash.
We're going to change this, and that. All right. Let's do it.
But it was just like shell shock overnight. I mean, you're seeing it same thing with, I mean, not getting into the political side whatsoever, but on the forefront of President Trump comes in, signs a bunch of things, and it like shell shocks everyone right now to where it's like all these different hands are up in the air in all different spaces. Mm-hmm. But it's like, yeah, he's like, you read into some of the policies, it makes sense on a long-term play. But right now, most people think in a short-term movement. And you see it, I see it with business owners all the time. I see it with people that they can't think of their life outside of this month.
Yeah.
And if those are the people that get a paycheck and they go blow the whole entire thing, they can't make it to even their next pay period. I've had those people work for me in the car space. You give them $8,000 check, in 2 weeks they would have $0. I'd be giving them a loan before their next 2 weeks. I was just like, how is this? What the fuck? Mind blowing that somebody can't think ahead. And I'm not saying in a negative way because I know people are just wired differently.
Yeah.
But I've always just thought so far ahead that the moves that we make today are for 2026.
Yep.
Every move and decision I make today is for the future of the company. When we're putting processes in place and we're building them out, we're building it for a 100-person plus company. So a lot of times people are like, well, that's a lot of extra work. Yeah, right now it is, but there's going to be a day where that's going to need to be in place. And it's a lot easier to implement it over 30 or 40 people right now instead of 100.
Yeah.
So as you progressively get larger, it's harder and harder to change those processes. Mm-hmm. Towards making sure that now it's 1,000 times harder to put a new process in place than it was when we were in the basement.
Yeah.
When in the basement, like, hey, I'm not even gonna say there was a fucking process to change.
That's what I was thinking. I was trying to think of an example, but
yeah, I was trying to think of an example.
If we did though,
if we did, it was just like, hey, what do you guys think? And they're like, yeah.
If
like,
we had to make a decision at least, it was like, hey, we're just all right here.
But like communication, the complexity of communication multiplied so fast from basement to River Market, but River Market still, I mean, where I sat the whole time, I could talk to the whole company and where I sat. Like, when we first moved to Crossroads in April, I was like, I don't know if I like this idea of like people having offices. I was like, I don't know about this.
It was a big adjustment.
It was.
We can't just look around and see everybody.
I remember like walking around, like, normally I was just like, hey, Ricky, like, hey, Logan. Like, I'll just yell it.
Yeah.
Oh, the first time you had to go look for somebody?
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah. Now you don't even know what office they're at.
Yeah. I'm like, are they watching fucking Netflix? What are they doing? Like, but it was trusting the people, trusting the processes we put in place, the benchmarks we have to have for companies, all these different things. Because the reality of it, somebody could sit in their office, watch Netflix TV shows all day, and I wouldn't know any different. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what has to be taking place from every person down line? And I don't think I didn't understand it. And that's the hard thing is, a lot of times you hear business owners that they say you need to recognize the problem before it happens, but it's hard to recognize a problem that you don't have the education level to understand.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm learning as I'm going. Like, we opened up second office. I'm like, hey, I haven't done this before. Just as new to me as everyone else. Like, so, but me being that final say of whatever it is, it gets up to me, and then everyone's like, what's the answer? Like, what's the decision? I'm like,
call play, dude.
Exactly. I'm like, call play. I'm like, I don't fucking know.
Play clock's going down.
Yeah, play clock's out. We're throwing. I'm like, I have no idea if this works. But then it doesn't work out. Everyone's like, good fucking call, bud. I was like, my bad.
Hey, in hindsight, that was dumb.
Yeah. Now I look back at it with the education I have now, I see why that didn't work. So now, as you progress, the play calling gets better, and it's just you have to have that next level of knowledge. So sometimes you have to go mess up at that point to figure that out. So it's
Most people don't even want to do that though. They're afraid to fail. So if you fail, you got to keep moving forward. But you see with a lot of business owners, I mean, I've spoke with several this week where you can just tell they're stuck. They don't know where to go. They want to move forward, but they just can't take that step. And it's like everyone is so afraid to fail, not caring what other people think, making those stories every day. I mean, I'm just now starting to post on social media a lot. You know, we'll see how it goes, but that fear still creeps in. I mean, all the time. What are others going to think? You know, how do I look on this video, etc. But you just got to not give a fuck.
Yeah.
When you not give a fuck, you remove a lot of the noise in your life.
Yeah. It's funny. Even like my wife will go places and like it was cold out. It was snowing one night. She needed to go to Target. I'm like, I have pink shorts on. They're like kind of like short. I have camo muck boots on. I have a Sika jacket, and I have one of the big fluffy hats on with the. And she's like, "What are you wearing?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "You look like a goon." I was like, "I don't care." And like we go to Target, and this dude is looking at me like, "What fucking trailer park did this dude come out of?" And then we walk out, and I'm getting in my truck, and I think it even confused him more. He's like, "The fuck?" Like, but I truly don't care what people think at this point. Yeah. And it took me a long time to kind of get to that point.
Yeah.
That after I remove that, but it's also when I'm doing something, the people that are going to say negative things about it are people that aren't doing it.
Right.
People that have that fear living in their head rent free. Those are going to be the people that say shit.
All the successful people, look at your network. All the successful people, they don't talk shit on other people. They don't talk negative about other people. If anything, they want to help other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's the ones that are always negative, always talking shit. Those are the ones that don't go anywhere in life.
Mm-hmm. And the crazy thing was when I started doing like the stories driving in the morning, when I started when we started doing the podcast, we started doing the taco reviews. Mm-hmm. The level of the network of business owners that started coming my way that are worth 100x what I'm worth. Mm-hmm. They're like, dude, how do you do it every day? I'm like, how's this person asking me that? Like, I started ending up at just a whole different level of tables. Yeah. And the questions that were coming my way and the feedback I was getting from these people that are just, in my eyes, I'm viewing as just 10 times the business owner that I am. Mm-hmm. And they're coming in and they're like, you have a culture that's just unmatched. Like, you don't know how hard that is to do. You don't understand like how hard it is to be that consistent doing something. Like the statements that are coming our way, it's just so different.
Yeah.
And I think success identifies success. Like people see it.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell people. The people that go out there and they talk about it all day, every day. Like, I mean, you and I both know people in real estate and things like that talk about it all day, every day. And I'm like, those dudes don't have two pennies to rub together.
Yeah.
Like you have all these like gurus online that are saying that they're 9-figure earners. And I was like, you're not a 9-figure earner. Like, I don't know where you came up with that random ass fucking stat, or just because anyone can post. I mean, I get on my Instagram right now and put that I'm a 9-figure earner. Like, there's no check to that. There's no like factual like
validation to it.
Yeah. Like, and you see the way these guys run and operate. And I'm like, I've been around people that don't have to dress super nice. They don't have nice cars or anything, but I talk to them. I know they're successful.
Yeah. The ones that are super successful don't talk about that shit all the time.
Yeah. But you can just talk about what they're doing, the way that they think about helping others, where their time is focused, things like that. You can read it like a book quick. Mm-hmm. I'll go places with Mass and I was like, that dude's got a lot of money. That dude's fucking making. I don't know how many people, what he's got going on, but he's doing it. She's like, how do you just recognize that fast? I'm like, and then it's funny, I'll start talking to him and they're like, oh yeah, I've done this, and this. And like, you just figure it out.
Yeah.
But then the person's coming up to it. Same thing like when people come up. If somebody comes up and all they tell you about is how trustworthy they are, you gotta watch out. Like, I've let those people in my walls. I'm like, I got a bad feeling, but somebody tells you that they're that honest and they just bring it up every single time that they talk, normally it's because they're not. Like, those aren't things that you have to bring up.
Right.
Success speaks for itself. MMG's growing. People see it all over the place. They see the offices. They see all that. The doers out there, they understand what it takes to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And they know it doesn't happen being a fucking chump. They know that it takes a lot of learning. They know it takes a lot of failing. They know it takes a lot of these things that they recognize. They've done it. And I think that was the weirdest thing I struggled with, was like our movement forward. There becomes a very lonely area that you live in, that you haven't done enough of it to get the recognition from the people that are at this side of the table, but you don't feel like you fit in with this side.
Yeah.
You feel like when you're talking about those visions, you're talking about what you're doing, they're looking at you being cocky. You're trying to, like, I want to talk with business owners on how they can move forward, how we can move forward, the whole nine.
Yeah.
Like, when I talk about those things, it's in no way, shape, or form trying to flaunt it or whatever it is. But there's times that I've sat and I've smoked cigars with guys that were light years ahead of me. And we're talking about their finances and stuff, and about what their percentage breakdown on how they're doing stuff, what their payroll looks like, and just all these different things. But it's like, I feel like I'm getting a look into a lens that's further down the road. So I'm not looking at it as them being cocky or flaunting it to me.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm happy that they're winning.
And it gives you a little bit of a taste to build that next vision.
Right.
Yeah.
Because until you see what that next level looks like, you're just kind of stuck looking from this perspective.
Keeps you hungry.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
You need to change that perspective sometimes and see what those next levels are like, so it can
Yeah.
reignite that vision even more.
And I think I will say that we have been, wildly like fortunate to be in an industry that we work B2B, that we've had the opportunity to surround ourselves with really high level operators.
Yeah.
As we progress, we just get around higher level operators. Plus, we wing out the wrong ones, and there's people that we've worked with that I look at that have no business being a business owner. There's some people that they don't have it. They want to, they become employee of themselves, of their own, and it's just, they just want it for a title. I never wanted this for a title. It was never, literally, like, from day one, I was like the Fantasy Factory. I'm like, how cool would that be? Just like me and a bunch of people I'm friends with getting to hang out every day. That was like literally my thought process. Like, that was the extent of it. Like, I didn't correlate a dollar and cent to it. I'm like, does it cost a lot? It's like, in my head, that looks like it's going to be expensive. But that's why I've never had a problem just dumping everything into this. Because one day when we just have a badass spot that I get to work out with my friends in the morning, and then get to work with my friends every day, and we became friends with the clients we're with, like, it's fun to me.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I tell people all the time, like, business is a game. You should enjoy playing games. Like, become better at the game. Understand the game better.
Mm-hmm.
If you go home and you play Clue, you play Risk, you play Monopoly, the better you understand the game, the better you become. Like, I look at Monopoly, like, I can win Monopoly most times I play it. But it's understanding how to navigate deals in the beginning to play the long game in the end.
Mm-hmm.
My brother gets absolutely pissed because he's trying to wheel and deal, like, right out the gate, and I'm like looking at the girls. I'm like, hey, Samantha, I give you this. I won't even sell properties in the beginning. I buy properties, and I give them away. And people all the time are like, what the fuck is he doing? But it's later in the game, I have say in different deals.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm buying that for later on. For just understanding how the game's played. That when I help business owners all the time with no ask. But I know somewhere down the road I'll need to ask. I'll be able to weigh in on it. But it may not be tomorrow, may not be a week from now, may not be 6 months from now or 12 months from now. But it's like, play the game in 26. Play the game a year ahead of yourself. Same thing if you play chess. If you play chess one move at a time, you're going to lose all day, every day. How do you play it in front of yourself? So it's the same thing, I think, in sales. When you're selling something, you start opening their eyes to the vision of where they should be going. You guys have seen me do it with business owners.
Yeah.
I want to know what the vision is. I want to know where they're trying to go. Because if that's not there, then marketing's never going to play a good part in it.
No, it's just like you go back to say, it's just a pillar.
Yeah.
Some of these business owners come in and they think marketing is the save all. But if you don't have sales, you don't have operations, their back end isn't operating correctly, we could do a fantastic job on our end, but it's still going to fail in the long run because as a business owner, they don't have things set up, the way they should.
Yeah. The other thing too is marketing will never outsell bad product and bad service. And that's the thing is like, there's people out there that talk shit on what we do.
Mm-hmm.
They're not at the level that we are, and they're not worth the time. I'm not going to say anything illy about them, but the thing is, we get referrals and we get all the movement for a reason.
Yeah.
Products and service talks for itself.
I think one thing that we're really good at too is creating that hospitality experience.
Yeah.
Which I know you and I have had that conversation before. I think that plays a lot into the culture, and that's what a lot of businesses lack is that hospitality experience.
Yeah.
It's the experience that people, like the accounts we have, they stay on obviously because it's a fantastic product, but it's that experience that they experience through the months of working with them. And that's why, they'll never leave.
Yeah.
So,
and that's something that always has to continuously get better.
yeah.
And it's something that, when we were in the River Market, we didn't have MMG labeled bottles and we didn't have like drinks when people came in. Like there's, once again, that's like continues to progress. Like when sales office is going to have a receptionist, I want like, you can get hot coffee, you can get hot tea, like whatever you want when you come in. Like I want to increase that white glove service.
Yep.
But it's also when you sell a premium product, it comes with that level of service.
You've got to have that behind it.
Yeah. And
Sure.
there's some people that don't care about it. And it's, people won't always remember what you do. They won't always remember what you say, but they always remember how you make them feel.
Mm.
And that's the same thing. Like I go back to the Disney thing. Walk around that place and just think about how it makes you feel. When you have kids running around smiling ear to ear that they're having the best day of the year for them.
Mm-hmm.
You see these families walking around and making memories that they're going to talk about 20 years from now.
Yeah.
How's that place make you feel? The concrete is different from everywhere you walk, that when you walk into a new area. The people, the staff that's working there, I don't know how they find that many positive people to work at one place. Literally today, still the most mind-blowing thing I've ever seen in my life. Like the buy-in and just the feeling that you have when you're there is unmatched. Like, and I revert back to that all the time because I don't know if there's anything out there that's competed with it. Just from even the guys out emptying the trash and stuff when we were at Epcot came up and I was talking to one of those guys for a while. Mason's like, what were you talking about? I'm like, dude, he was just the nicest guy over there.
He's a good guy.
I'm like, and I was talking to him and we were talking about the trash cans on how close they are and everything. He was like, yeah, it really makes sure we never really have to pick up trash off the ground and going over everything. And he worked there for 5 years and
there's a procedure and process even down to that level. But that's the thing. That's what
crazy.
separates the high level like Disney versus the other companies is they don't look at every single process and break it down.
Yeah. And Madison's looking at me. She's like, you'd be the only person that ends up making friends with the trash guy here at Disney and talking to him for a while.
Honestly, as much as you talk about the placement of the trash cans, I'm not surprised.
I was actually kind of excited when I saw him.
Like, I want to actually talk to somebody about this.
Yeah. I was like, I've read about it. And I was like, but it's just, I think at something like that, the most impressive part isn't the super high level person there that spotted it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the lowest level person that spotted it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know, still just, it's hard to wrap my mind around even. Like when you're there and you just look at the volume. And like any day I ever think about, like we have like looking at finances and looking at that spot of what burn rate looks like and different things at different times. We're on like the first roller coaster. I'm like looking at this one area with all these like robotics and everything moving and like frozen and they're like moving around everything. I'm telling Mass, I'm like, this area right here, more than all of MMG together. Just them building out this one spot. I was like, all of what we worked on for 4.5 years, that area worth more.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it is wild.
It's so crazy to think about.
Yeah. But like most people are probably on the ride just having a great time. I'm like dissecting what I think this place costs.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, whoa. But like
It's kind
there's
of like being in real estate, for the last 9 years, you drive down the highway, you look at all the commercial buildings, you think differently about that kind of stuff. Like the average person just kind of just goes on about their day.
yeah. Corbin, what are you looking forward to most in the next 6 months?
Just learning and growing. I've set some like goals for myself to where I want to be in like 6 months, and that's what I'm coming here is where I'm gonna try to make those happen.
What are the goals?
Well, like in sales wise, I just would like to get to 20 customers in 6 months, and kind of see where I can go from there.
Philip?
What are my goals? Well, you put out a pretty good spiff the other day, but
That is
I don't know. Definitely hit 20 accounts as fast as I can, for sure. Not just because of that, but the income level that I'm trying to get to 20 plus. Honestly, that's not even enough. That's like the low ceiling. I want to help as many business owners as I can. Like one thing I liked about MMG is we're not just a vendor, we're a partner. So when I'm having these conversations, I'm partnering with with these other businesses. You have clients, you make friends. I mean, your network just continues to grow. You continue to elevate personally. So that's what I'm most excited about. Marketing is something completely new to me. I feel like I get to step into my own creativity with it, which I like 100%. I get to be a part of a brand that's pretty badass in Kansas City, which is also cool. But
We paid him to say that.
yeah,
How much you paid
that's
him?
what Ricky said on the way here. There was a dollar amount attached to that.
He goes, you dropped this one line Venmo afterwards.
No, but I would say probably one of my personal goals is to get 30 accounts
I like it.
at least
Which
within the first year, within the first 12 months. So
Which I think something you're going to realize pretty quickly too is when you start helping one business owner, they're going to tell other business owners that call is just on that's a referral from another. When you're having those conversations, it's not a sell. Like they already know what you do. They've already
Right.
talked to somebody else. They know what your price tag is.
They've seen you online over
Yeah.
the last
Seen you
few
online.
months.
They've already been they're already in the system pretty much. They're just pretty much you're setting up an onboarding.
yeah,
Like they've made the choice in their head.
yep,
So that's where I look at you guys are going to figure that out. So I figured out that I've really I don't want to say capped my network, but my network's gotten really big and it's really hard to keep up with all of it without me doing a disservice to the people that are in my network. That makes sense.
yeah,
And Ricky started building his network, but I'm like, these people become your friends. These are people I go to events for.
yeah,
I'm invited to a lot of different Christmas parties, like all this different stuff that I make appearances at, but it's like, we can't take on 500 accounts and then go to 500 Christmas parties.
You can get a couple.
Yeah.
just
You're
can't.
not getting all 500.
But it's just like that there gets to a spot, it's not feasible.
Right.
yeah.
And I have my group of people. I want that still to be that white glove service that people are getting in the future, where it's okay. Hey, I deal with Philip or Corbin, and it's like you guys go out and have drinks with them. You guys go out golfing with them. Like become friends with these people.
Yeah.
And that's on the forefront of just doing the right thing by the client or the person, but it's also. I look at it in the future, the grand vision when we have the Fantasy Factory. I want it something that's just open to people to come to all the time.
Yeah.
Like that's what I think of is like when I vision that Fantasy Factory, it's not a bunch of people like sitting around their desks like going crazy. It's something that we have clients in there all the time that they're like, dude, I can't wait this week to go buy MMG.
Yeah. They just
People
stop in to
already
say
said
hi.
it.
Yeah. People
sure.
already come in here all the time and they're like, where we're at right now is already it's elevated over what the market has deemed normal. But that's not what I feel needs to be done.
Yeah.
My thought process is it needs to be elevated 10 times higher. It needs to be something that we're so far in the lead that nobody even looks at as like possible to catch up.
Yeah.
And I want it where we have a barber in on Monday here, but it's like, I want it to where that we have a full-time barber in the Fantasy Factory and you work with us, you get free haircuts too. Like then clients are coming in and get their haircut every week. Like come and have lunch at the office. Like we have food catered in where we have chef in house. Hey, let's catch a workout next Thursday at the office.
Yeah.
You have clients coming in to work out with you.
It's be the only meetings I take.
Yeah, Ricky's just gonna live in the gym.
Dude.
Fancy Factory hit, Ricky just gets jacked.
Yeah, I have a
He's
10
already
o'clock,
super out of shape.
I've got a 10 o'clock chest workout, but I could catch you at 12:30 for some shoulders. Perfect.
But I think about how cool that'd be. Like, how many people have went
That
to a
would be-
meeting and they said,
You're gonna have sauna meetings. That's what
"Oh
you're
yeah,
gonna do.
I'm just gonna have a." Actually, mine are gonna be all over cigars. Like, I'm gonna put a jet on the side of my office with the doors gonna open up. It's gonna be a cigar bourbon lounge.
That's awesome.
It's gonna hang right on the side of the building. It'll be all black and gold with our logo on the side. Be sick. But it's like, once again, that vision in my head. Like, I can sit in that office today.
Yeah.
That office I sit in, and I know exactly what it looks like. I know that door sits about 6 feet over to my left. It opens up the side of that jet door, and I go in. I know what that jet feels like inside already.
When you do it enough and you have that same visualization and you can kind of bake it into your subconscious, it almost feels inevitable. It's like you're already there.
Yeah.
And now you just have to wait for it to come into existence.
Yeah.
Realistically, but it's like, it also, when you build that, the idea of getting there becomes a lot clearer what you need to do every day.
Yeah.
It makes it to where when you're thinking of that vision and you thought about that today and you wrote about it and you formulated that being reality, tomorrow when you get up, when that alarm goes off at 4:00, it's pretty easy to get out of bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you need to make that extra call and you need to get in contact with those extra 5 people today, it makes it pretty easy to do that. When you need to sit down and go over the processes to make a better product and better service, pretty easy to do that. Like, all those things just start dropping in, because guess what? That person that I'm looking up to, that person I look up to every single day is myself in 5 years. But if I'm going to look up to that person, I have to build that person.
Yeah.
So what is that perfect version of myself? And it's like, what is that person I look up to that in 5 years I'll be 35, and another 5 I'll be 40, but it's like I have to keep looking to that person.
Yep.
But it's, Dane at 35 is going to be way more knowledgeable than Dane at 30. Dane at 30 is light years in front of Dane at 25. I wish I could go back and tell a 25-year-old Dane a few things. But it's 25-year-old Dane to 20-year-old Dane.
That dude didn't even know what he was getting into.
You probably
Those
don't even
dudes weren't-
recognize that name.
Yeah, 20-year-old Dane, not even recognizable. Like, that dude was he was lost. But it's like, that's the crazy thing that you see happen, but it's also that vision. Once you continuously make it happen, that vision becomes clearer and clearer, because now all of a sudden that can happen. Like, when I come in here and I open up that door and I pull my truck in, like, all those days as a kid when I watched that shit, like, I've gotten this far, like, I ain't stopping to get to that next step. But and in the front side, a lot of times you talk about like a financial move that you're trying to make happen. Mm-hmm. I did that when I was younger in the car space. I just kept chasing money, and I'll tell you, when I came out of college, I was so money hungry. When MMG started, I was money hungry in the beginning. And once I finally kind of put the money aside, I was like, just do the right thing every single day, be consistent every single day of what I do, and then whatever pans out, pans out. It was wild how all of a sudden, like, the money like flipped around and like changed so quickly. That when I was going to a charitable thing, that I'm like, how is this, like, this doesn't financially help me, but it's just doing the right things. Good things happen to good people.
Yeah.
And the more charitable things we've gotten involved in, it's amazing how many bigger doors have opened through those things. And that's a bigger purpose to help other people that truly need help. And when I got on the board with Pal, it was, what we think our problems are in today aren't real fucking problems. There's 8, 9, 10-year-old kids coming in and don't have food tonight. My adult career, I've never thought about when I was going to eat, or if I had money to eat.
Yeah.
And it's like, those bigger purposes and meanings, when you help fix those things, it's wild how the world just comes back to you in waves of helping.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you probably have felt the most accomplished and the best after attending those charity events. Then all the money in the world, how you feel doing those things and helping others through that process. That's something that you can't even put a price tag on that.
You can't. And it's something that, when I was in the car business, when I got it, like, I got ether from like closing deals. Like, when I got into sales, like, I used to have that ether. Like, once I closed something, I was like, yeah, like, that's where I got that adrenaline rush. Mm-hmm. I've lost it.
Wears off eventually.
It does. Like, their deals, but I actually get more excited for the things that we can do
to help.
like the charity, like the meeting we had this morning. Like I got done, I was fucking jazzed. Like, and they're like, "How are you so hyped?" I was like, dollar and cent wise, that was the cheapest thing that we've like. We don't even have a package that like goes to that price tag. Mm-hmm. And they're like, "Well, you like build something out, send it over." I'm like, "That's not going to work." I was like, "We're two different wavelengths of price tag." I'm like, "If I built all this out, there's zero chance that you guys afford it." I'm like, "I want to do it for the right reason." And I'm like, "You tell me what your budget is, I'll make it work." And they're like, "Well, does that mean that you like take off?" I'm like, "No, you were going to get the gold standard of what we do." I'm like, "I'm not doing it for the financial gain of it." Mm-hmm. And they're like, kind of confused. But I'm like, "No, I want to do this. I want to help." But I think those kind of things, when I get done, I'm like, I just gave away a marketing account. There's no money to be made here. Like, but the plus side of what it's doing, that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
That's where I get done where we close an account that's 10 times that size, and I walk out of I'm like, "Hey, we get help." I do like helping business owners. I like move the needle forward for them and like the friendships and things like that. But
for sure. Sometimes
there's bigger problems in our world that we need to make sure we keep an eye on and stay humbled.
Yeah.
So, any final thoughts? I feel like we talk in the other office all the time, so I mean, we can talk for hours on it.
Yeah, it's no different.
Yeah. No, it's not at all.
How are you feeling
Don't
on
be pointing
here?
at me.
I think he's getting hot and bothered over there.
I am hot.
He's moving like he's got
Yeah, he's
moving.
getting like real fidgety and stuff. Like,
I'm getting hot. No one else think it's hot in here?
no, it is a little hot in here, but
It is a little warm.
Okay.
you good?
Yeah.
We got him on the energy drinks now. He never drank energy
Yeah.
drinks when he started.
Yeah, you should.
That is
Now-
something.
You should get
now
off of
it's- now
that.
it's the
I
gorilla.
didn't drink any
He's
today.
like-
That might be why I'm a little off.
He has the gorilla mind.
Go
He has
through
the
withdrawals
gorilla
already.
mind. He's like, holy shit.
I actually
like,
haven't had
dude,
any
alive.
caffeine today.
There's your problem, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, like
the
on
other
our,
sales guy,
caffeine in
Eugene,
you.
we got him on energy drinks too. He's drinking Ghost this morning.
Oh man.
You're an addict though. Like you
Yeah.
drink like 3 or 4 of them a day.
Listen,
Whoa.
don't go over 3. It's
Wow.
mainly 2.
Mainly too.
It's mainly 2.
I've had to back myself off down to 1.
You drink 1 a day?
Some days I drink 2.
5 hours and stuff.
I feel like 2's the it's the, average.
average
Two's
for
the company
what?
average.
You
I don't even want to see what the statistics would be on how many energy drinks we've consumed.
What would you say
Throughout
your
in
daily
between.
You drink
average is?
you drink
I'm a
quite a
2.
few too.
You're a
Two,
2er.
yeah.
You're
Pre-workout
a
in the morning,
2er.
and 1 to 2.
I'm 2 if I'm feeling
Yeah.
a little edgy. I go for 3, but now
Yeah.
we got you on.
We spend $500 a week on energy drinks.
$500 a
God.
week. That's legit. I believe it.
You know how easy it would
It's
have
like
been
a-
when I got the bins? If I would just said, "Hey, we cut off the energy drinks," I could have had a Huracan sitting over there. Wild when we take that and gosh,
Wow.
relevance. Like Huracan or keeping the energy drinks around?
Unless everybody's running hot laps around the block to get their adrenaline up, I think
It'd probably be better if we did that.
it probably
And
would.
did some push-ups and shit.
Jess was saying 10 burpees every hour.
I
I
know-
don't think she's
I-
done it, but she
yeah.
did it the one time.
I ain't doing burpees, but
For
Burpees is
what?
another thing. Hiking and burpees.
To just stay awake, man.
Yesterday me and Angela were doing some stretches,
Okay.
just like waking up a little bit.
Yeah. Some yoga and stuff.
Yeah, she said it was yoga, but it was just like
Doing
normal stretching.
stretches. Yeah. If you hold your breath, it's yoga.
Yeah.
yeah, I'll do some push-ups here and there, but I'm not doing burpees or yoga.
That's fair. I would do yoga.
I do yoga too.
Oh, you do yoga, but you won't hike.
Yeah.
Listen, I need to work on the flexibility. As I get older, that shit's important. Back when I was 21, 22,
I mean, you are
23,
getting a good amount of gray in your beard.
I am, man. It's the girls.
Yeah.
Right?
My kids are aging me.
I just don't think you like nature. You said you didn't like.
I like
to
the
go-
beach. I like the ocean. I like to.
That's not nature.
No,
I don't like to be out in the woods. Who likes to be out in the woods?
I do.
I would
You're a
love to.
hunter. You guys are just different animals. That doesn't even count.
You know, humans are animals.
We're fucking animals.
All right, now we're getting too fucking technical here.
He's like, I like to have a pina colada when I'm in the nature.
Still feeling the sun.
All right. Anything else, Ricky?
No, I think that's probably it.
I think we probably lost track there at some point. Xavier, cut it up, make it happen. That's the M3 Podcast. Thanks for joining. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.